Here on the ground, change happens fast. Problems feel frequent and urgent. It's loud and anxiety runs high. From a satellite view, the Earth looks the same as it did thousands of years ago. We've been here before. Let's learn from our past and shoot for a better future.
Hello and welcome to this episode of A Satellite View. I'm Todd Mikkelson, your host, speaking at you from Cuadro de Mayo 2025. I don't know how to say 2025 in Spanish, but I think you say Cuadro de Mayo because I'm getting that because tomorrow's Cinco de Mayo. I could be wrong, but it's the 4th of May, Sunday the 4th of May, 2025 in the space and time continuum. I did not do the show last week. All through Sunday, I was getting ready for it. I was gathering information, and I was psyching myself out because there was too much. I couldn't pick what to focus on, really, and I was overwhelming myself with information. I thought maybe I would record on Monday, and then maybe on Tuesday, maybe on Wednesday, and it just feels like something is about to break open, and until that happens, I just feel like we got to stop focusing on Trump's chaos. And that's what I really got caught up in last weekend. And it was driving me crazy. And I ended up taking the whole week off from doing this show. Although not really because it was on my mind so much because I didn't plan beforehand to take it off. If I would have done that and taken the proper rest and taken care of myself, would have been better. But I have since done that and kind of redirected my brain to remind myself that we got to kind of keep our eye on the prize here. And we're not sure what the prize is going to be, but this is not sustainable, what's going on with Donald Trump. And the chaos is made to break us down. And that's kind of where I was going last week. It was just too much of the BS. And then you think, okay, I gotta focus on this moment from an interview of Trump. I gotta remember to put in this thing about how stupid it was that he said this about the tariffs. I got to talk about, he puts the tariffs on, then he takes them off, then he puts them on, then he takes them off. And they want us to get broken down so that we just stop resisting. People stop taking to the streets. We can't do that. We got to keep the fight up in whatever you're doing. And even if it's just keeping yourself sane when they're trying to drive us all crazy. Yes, they're trying to take over the country. Yes, they're trying to demolish our systems. Yes, they're trying to make an American dictatorship where they can have their idiotic front man out there doing whatever, basically distracting. That's what they have been doing. Trump goes out and distracts us, and then we end up talking. He had more interviews this morning where he just said the stupidest of crap. And of course, then that's what the whole day is spent talking about, so that the guys who are working on Project 2025 can do their thing in the background without being bothered and without anybody noticing. Elon Musk can continue stealing data and shutting down investigations into him, which is the only purpose of Doge. It was a deal made by Elon Musk. I'll buy you the election. You set me up in a way that I can go in and make sure that, these, I think, 8 major investigations, I'm not sure if I'm right on the number 8, but there are at least a handful of major investigations going on in criminal acts of Elon Musk in his various companies. And he wants to get that shut down. And then I can also, gather data that you can use. That's another favor I'll do for you. And anyway, this is starting to become apparent And people are starting to report on these types of things. This isn't just me doing my speculative thing. This is people starting to talk about these things. And so it's not really working for them. Their front man is not as savvy as Adolf Hitler. Adolf Hitler wasn't just a front man. He was actually kind of leading their Nazi thing. This Nazi thing, their Adolf Hitler is a complete buffoon. And he's completely imploding. They picked the wrong guy. His dementia's getting worse, and it's at this point elder abuse is what it looks like. And I didn't make that up either. Of other people have been calling it that. This guy obviously needs help. But they're propping him up, and for some reason they're letting him do these interviews. The ABC interview last week was insane. I hope that Trump supporters watch it. I don't really need to watch it because I know he's insane, but it's still unbelievably insane. It's unbelievably insane. The demonstration of his cognitive decline is in that interview. That's the one where he obviously doesn't understand what photoshopping is. So I don't want to focus on that stuff too much. I mean, we can have fun with it because if it wasn't real, if he wasn't actually right now sitting as the quote unquote president, it would be hilarious. But so I don't watch the cold open or whatever they call it of Saturday Night Live anymore. The guy imitating Donald Trump. Same thing happened with Alec Baldwin. After a while, it was like Trump is more comical than the comedian imitating Trump. So Saturday Night Live is, again, like I'm not interested. I'm not interested in making fun of him anymore. And also, you got to remember, 200 lawsuits have been surpassed now. There's more than 200 lawsuits against the Trump administration. He seems to be losing all of them. Some students that they arrested and put incarcerated have been released this last week. A long list of things that got dumped last Friday. This is part of what I was compiling for last week. The many, many things that have been turned around. Things that you first hear about the Trump administration doing them. They're crazy. They're horrible. It scares you. It angers you. And then late on a Friday afternoon, they announce that they've turned them all around so that nobody really notices that they got turned around. So you remain in this sort of terror state. But he's being snubbed out with practically everything he's doing. The tariffs, are they on? How does that work? Have prices really gone up yet? I don't know. So we got to be careful about what we're paying attention to, or it's just going to drive us crazy. So please take care of yourself. It's very difficult. I can't do it. I completely failed last weekend. But I hope you can. It's getting nice outside. You know, we're all still alive. The earth is still here. We can go outside and you can hear the birds and bask in the sun, go for a walk, see the trees, hear the water of the river or the lake or the waterfall, or all those things are still here. And we've got to not forget about that, and that, you know, we're alive in our lives. Your family members, the people you love, the people you want to, your friends, the people you want to hang out with, people you want to communicate with. We've got to keep doing that, or in my case, start doing that at some point soon. All of this crap, you know, Trump putting up a picture of himself as Pope, you know, you can get pissed at it, or you can realize, wow, okay, so now he's just lost a whole bunch of Catholics who might have all, you know, been in support of him. You know, he's ostracizing everybody one by one by one. And so people talk about, oh, nobody's going to come and save us, so we got to do it ourselves. We are doing our part. The protests in the streets are very important. They're very important parts of this. It's worldwide. And also some results have been really good. A few months ago, both in Canada and now Australia, a few months ago, the conservative, crazy right-wing parties were going to sweep the elections. That's what everybody thought. That's what the polling said. Everybody was getting ready for the world. If you remember last summer, last fall, everybody was getting ready for the world to turn into a far-right, conservative, crazy world. Everybody was talking about that. That's where everything's going. In Germany, in France, in Canada, in Australia. Well, the Canadian elections were a couple of weeks ago, and it didn't happen. The Liberal Party ended up staying in charge, winning the election. Everybody was astounded. And now, just a few days ago, I think it was on Monday, Australia had their elections, and the same thing happened. The Liberals, although they're not called Liberal Party, they have a different terminology for it, but basically the party that goes by liberal policies and ideologies ended up winning and staying in power. Trump is uniting the world against him. And that's a great thing. I don't think that, nobody thinks, I'm not sure. I don't follow Canadian or Australian politics, but everybody was saying before Trump was elected that the whole world was going to turn into Nazi Germany. And it's gone opposite, including in Germany, by the way. That's just that happened, longer ago. Not all that long ago, but longer ago than these two new ones, Canada and Australia. So the elections keep going in the direction of sanity and good instead of conservative evil crap that was really bubbling up. Trump gets elected. Well, he didn't get elected. And we're going to talk a little bit about some of that here if we have some time today. I want to cover some of that because I think some news is going to come out. We're getting closer and closer, and it's not a conspiracy theory that the vote tabulation machines were manipulated. And news is going to come out about that. It already is out there, and I'm going to lead you to some of it, and I'm going to read a little bit of it to you. There are things going on that I think are notable. You've heard about Newark Airport, very near New York City. A lot of people, when they fly to New York City, they actually fly into Newark Airport and drive to New York City. And it was a really interesting thing that I found that Reuters reported on. Not ABC or NBC or CNN or anybody in America, but Reuters, and I'm not sure Reuters I think has some American interest, but anyway. Federal Aviation Administration said a series of issues prompted it to dramatically slow traffic at Newark Liberty Airport on Monday, prompting United Airlines to divert at least 35 flights per day to other airports. You might have heard that news. What I don't think you did hear, the FAA said the issue was first prompted by telecommunications and radar equipment issues at Philadelphia Terminal Radar Approach Control, part of Newark Airport, which guides aircraft in and out of Newark. Now, there was a glitch in the radars. We talked weeks ago in the big crash that happened in D.C. that killed over 200 people, that the helicopter, the military helicopter that was part of that collision, was getting two different altitude readings within their vehicle, their craft. What was going on there? And then they stopped reporting on it. That news comes out and then it just goes away, and we move on to Trump's crazy interview. What is going on with the radars, the FAA radars? Another thing, the National Air Traffic Controllers Association had no comment. Now, there was reporting also that some of the air traffic controllers were quitting because this issue was not being taken care of, at least in their opinion. They were reporting this problem, and they were not happy with how it was being taken care of, or the lack of it being taken care of. And they quit because they didn't want to be responsible for killing people. So what is going on with the radar systems and telecommunications systems? I'm probably putting ideas in your head right now, what it could be. I want to follow that up with some information that I'm going to make you privy to. I've been talking about it for weeks, but we're going to go to some of the information I keep telling you to go look for yourself. I'm going to read a little bit of it to you, and we're going to talk about what could be possible incidents that happened, that occurred, that I think is related to these radar and telecommunication systems within the FAA, sadly and scarily. When we come back from a short break on a satellite view. And we're back on a satellite view. If you like the music you hear here, go to toddmikkelson.com, push the music link, and you can find this and a lot of other music I've written throughout the years. Go to my Instagram at Todd Mikkelson and follow me, and go to YouTube and find us. Put in the search within YouTube, a Satellite View podcast, and you'll find our page where we have been putting this entire show up on video, as well as putting it out on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and all the other places where you might listen to this show. You can also view it if you're so inclined. I don't have any clips for you this week, but in the video portions, you get to actually see the clips that I'm playing for you when I do play clips. I didn't want to psych myself out by taking too much prep time and going through, because it, like I said, there's just too much crap going on, and so much of it is crap. So we need to start talking about more pertinent things. For instance, why is Kamala back? And why did the White House put a meme that included, it had a couple other things. It had Garcia, the guy who got sent to El Salvador, and said, "This is not a kind Maryland man." And then they also had a picture of Kamala Harris and said, "This is not the president." Why would the White, and this is the official White House account on Twitter, put this up? And then Trump, I think, retweeted it. Who's been saying that Kamala Harris is the president? Have you heard anybody in any news say that Kamala Harris is the president? You've been hearing me say that she won the election. Why is the White House? What are they afraid of? And why are they so mad and unhappy and seemingly scared? I've been telling you about electiontruthalliance.org for a long time. Again, electiontruthalliance.org. There is a plethora of information on there that you should go look at. They talk about the swing states and what happened. They are looking into the bomb scares, the bomb threats, How many of them? I think I've heard more than 30. I think I've heard more than 60 bomb threats happening on Election Day. Why was there no investigation? Why was there no talk about it? Well, there have been investigations. There are a few different parts of the investigation going on by Election Truth Alliance in Pennsylvania. I'm going to skip down to, and the bomb threats is part of it. Also, troubles with machines and voting places so that people had to stand in line longer. But I'm skipping down here to the section called Vote Counting Computers. The Election Truth Alliance did not originally plan for Pennsylvania to be the second swing state of focus, in part due to data limitations with Pennsylvania's reporting of election result data. Other swing states appeared to demonstrate more conspicuous indicators of potential vote manipulation when looking at all vote types, including mail-in and election day voting. However, comments made by then-President-elect Trump at a pre-inauguration rally in Washington, D.C. on January 19th, specifically a reference made to Elon Musk's familiarity to quote-unquote vote-counting computers and quote-unquote winning Pennsylvania like in a landslide. Like in a landslide. Then we won Pennsylvania like in a landslide. Trump saying that at that rally prompted a shift in the focus of the Election Truth Alliance. In our initial, I'm reading them from their website here. In our initial analysis of Clark County, Nevada, robust and comprehensive election result reporting from the Clark County Election Department, including a cast vote record down to the tabulator level, allowed the Election Truth Alliance to identify trends consistent with potential vote manipulation in data from tabulators that had processed over a certain number of ballots. Meaning once it got up to a certain number, things went weird. As such, the remark about quote-unquote vote-counting computers in a different swing state seemed particularly noteworthy. So Trump's remarks prompted us to dive into Pennsylvania election result data, including data related to specific vote types, then very detailed reporting going on underneath this. This, again, can be found on electiontruthalliance.org. And there are videos to watch that are very well put together that explain some of the things that I've been starting to explain here. It is a little complicated in their data, but again, they do a good job of explaining it and making you understand exactly what they're finding. That includes evidence of the vote tabulation machines being manipulated from the outside somehow. Yes, Starlink has been mentioned. Yes, Elon Musk has been mentioned. There are investigations going on. There is a lot of information that has been uncovered since Election Day. I think it's going to be reported to the world because other countries have some of this same manipulation reported, and they have announced it. Their leadership has announced it. Now, of course, here we got to make sure we dot all the I's and cross all the T's, because what people like fascists and dictators do is they will yell about what they're doing so that you can't. They will accuse you of doing what they're doing so that you can't accuse them of doing what they're doing. That's what they did. They called 2020 election rigged, and we said, no, it wasn't rigged. So now we feel like, well, now we can't say 2024 was rigged. Otherwise, we're doing exactly what they did, and that's what they will say. But why did they put up a meme of a picture of Kamala Harris saying, "This is not the president"? So the White House knows. They know. They know what's going on. They know what's coming down. So it's going to be an interesting next few weeks and months, as I've been saying for weeks and months now. But it has been interesting. Not in the ways we're hoping, but I think there are going to be some more hopeful things coming up. For instance, Mike Waltz. Everybody was surprised when it sounded like Trump fired Mike Waltz. And then it came out that, oh no, he is now nominating him to be the UN ambassador, the ambassador to the United Nations. Now that takes Senate confirmation. And Mike Waltz would probably rather have just been fired and go home and try and find a job, because now he's not going to probably be able to find a job with anybody after the Senate confirmation hearings that are going to go further in investigation of what he did or didn't do in this whole Singlegate thing. Now, we have speculated here, and I, of course, we're not the only place who has speculated that he possibly was telling the truth when he said, I did not invite that journalist into that chat. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you're going to have to go look it up, because we don't have enough time to recap the Signalgate story from 6 weeks ago or so now. So anyway, it's possible that there are other places within the Pentagon that might have manipulated his phone, which of course proves that he is not being careful enough with sensitive secrets, highly classified information. Neither is Hegseth, but he's apparently not getting fired. Anyway, so it's going to further show that these guys basically are kind of guilty of espionage. I mean, even if it's neglect, it's not going to go well for Mike Waltz. I think it's kind of hilarious that now he's going to have to go through Senate confirmations after it's already been proven all this stuff that he has done. That's really, really horrible crap. And also, J.D. Vance did an interview, and wow, ill-advised. I can tell you he's never, ever going to be president. Well, I guess I can't for sure. If Trump were to just, drop dead today, J.D. Vance might become president for a few minutes. But he is so hateable when you see him be himself. Wow. So plastic. He's just delusional. Now that the polls are tanking for them, it's like, oh, well, the polls, we believe the polls are, not any longer accurate. They're accurate when we do well. And Trump basically in an interview this morning, was asked, is this now the Trump economy? Or you this week said it was the Biden economy? And well, the parts of it, I mean, the good parts of it are the Trump economy, and the bad parts of it are the Biden economy. He said that. I mean, you can go check it out. I think I did it exactly word for word. He didn't just insinuate that. He said that. But we're not focusing on that. We're not focusing on that. Very interesting. My daughter is in Rome for school when the Pope died. She went to the viewing. She stood in line and went and viewed the body on the final day. I'm not laughing because it's funny. It's amazing. It's incredible that she was there. We're not Catholic. We're not even religious. It's just, the intensity of the whole event. And this particular Pope was different than previous popes. He still can't go as far as like being, for women's choice or anything like that. But anyway, he was a more kind, less judgmental, more inclusive Pope than the Catholic Church has ever had, I think, it could be said. And my daughter was there for it. And then she said, if you've seen the movie Conclave, this is really interesting. She said they were at the Vatican, there was a little like souvenir shop, and the back door was open because the weather was getting nice. The back door was open, and she saw cardinals with their luggage walking by the door, like going into a different part of the building. If you've seen the movie Conclave, you know what I'm talking about. She witnessed that. It's just wild. Just kind of freaking me out. I had to talk about that because it's just so incredible that my daughter was there at this particular. It's a historic event, and she was right there for it. She is staying in an apartment for school that is within walking distance of the Vatican in Rome. So anyway, bad news about Ruth Buzzy, who is a very hilarious comedian who used to be on Laugh-In. She was 88 years old, and she did pass on yesterday or the day before. But I just gotta, going with such a funny person, Heidi reminded me of a funny story about her. And the reason why she kind of reemerged, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years ago, heard about Ruth Buzzy again, and I remember seeing videos of her, and she's hilarious. You got to love Ruth Buzzy. But part of the reason she reemerged is because she sued a punk band that was named Ruth Buzzy, which I think is a great name for a punk band. But she's like, hey, that's my actual name, so I'm suing you guys. You can't use my name. And I'm thinking, is it possible that Ruth Buzzy, who probably felt honored that these guys named their band Ruth Buzzy, and she probably also got a kick out of how funny it is and how funny they sound like funny guys to me. If you're in a punk band and you name it Ruth Buzzy, I'd like to have a beer with you. But anyway, so what if it was a conspiracy where it was something like her grandkid's friend had the band, and she saw the band and was like, yeah, you guys aren't very good, but you know what? If you name yourself Ruth Buzzy, I'll sue you, and then you'll at least get semi-famous. It's the only chance you guys have because you suck, okay? You're not going to get famous because of your musicianship. But hey, I'll go into this conspiracy with you, okay? And the greatest joke that Ruth Buzzy could have played before she left the third dimension here on Earth. Anyway, I just had to do the Ruth Buzzy thing. Now, I'm going to leave you with some information that I just learned about today. I want to look more into, but there is a new technology called CRISPR. I'm not sure if you've heard of it. It's CRISPR, and I don't know why it is that. Maybe it's an acronym. I don't even know. I didn't have time to look into it. I heard about it right before I was going to do this show, and I thought, with all this crap that's going on and how we're all being broken down by the chaos and the stupidity, and did I say the chaos? And did I say the stupidity? It's just overwhelming, and it's driving us all crazy. And it feels like there's no good news. This technology is quite incredible, and it's developing extremely quickly. I'm going to read just a short paragraph, but I think it's going to make you feel better here for the ending of the show. Okay, CRISPR technology offers a promising avenue for treating various genetic diseases by precisely editing DNA to correct faulty genes. This approach is particularly well suited for single gene disorders, allowing for potential cures rather than just symptom management. Potential cures. CRISPR has been shown success in treating conditions like sickle cell anemia, sickle cell diseases, beta thalassemia, which I don't even know what that is, and some forms of cancer. Curing cancer. Are we on our way? It sounds like it. Genetic engineering. I know it sounds like a scary term, but they've been working on it for a long time. And we're getting into an age now where I think I don't even know if you want to call it medicine, things that we might be able to, get rid of cancer. I know, RFK Jr. won't allow such a thing, but he's going to be gone, right? Anyway, I just thought that was some good news. I've also heard that there is work being done that is making great strides to work on things like MS, actually turning it back, not just treating it, but progress made on possibly over the next, 10, 20 years. These things that have been such horrible diagnoses for our lifetimes and for hundreds of years, we might be coming to an age where we understand how to take care of these things. They have actually figured out what causes how MS is developed. They've been running experiments so that they're able to find ways of treating it differently and possibly turning it around and curing it and getting rid of it if you have it. So I think there are some really interesting things to be watched. You know, technology is getting crazy, and a lot of it is going to turn out to be really, really, really good and do really great things for humanity. We're in a very interesting age. We've all chosen to be here right now, so we're not a victim of this circumstance. We are in control. We chose this. So take care of yourself. We're all in this together. I'm here with you all the time. Of course, I wasn't last week. Sorry about that. But I'm not just talking about when I'm on the show. We're all in this together. Kamala is in this with us, and she's back. I'm telling you, I'm feeling extremely optimistic about the weeks and months to come. I stick to everything I said last summer. I stick to everything I said about the election, which Kamala won. And I feel very strongly that news is going to come out in a convincing way that everybody can accept. And we're getting closer and closer to that event happening. For instance, why is Kamala back? And why did the White House put up that meme, a picture of Kamala saying, she is not the president? None of us said she was, did we? Wow. All right. A little paranoid? A little angry? I thought this was going to be a shorter show, but instead it's been just, I've gone overtime by about the same amount of time that I usually do. So thank you so much for sticking with me. And remember, we're all in this together. Let's help each other out and support each other. I'm here with you. I'm thankful that you're here with me. And together we're going to get through this. And let's have positive thoughts. And it'll happen. Let's make it happen. All right, again, thanks for sticking with me on A Satellite View. We will speak at you next week.
Been listening to A Satellite View with Todd Mikkelson. Go to toddmikkelson.com for links and more information.